All right, people, it's another episode of Fun and Truth in Black and White with Pat and Jay. Tonight's episode, New Year's resolution hype. Pat, you're coming from the Giants game, man. Tell me what's going on.
All right, first off, it was raining, so I'm sitting here thawing out, right? But it's a good experience, great seats. Went with our friend Jamal Kales. Had a good time out there. Giants lost. Great competitive game. Eagles took it. They're going to the playoffs. Best part of the day, the Dallas Cowboys got eliminated. So that makes me very happy. All right. What about you? How was your day, man?
I'm happy to be here. Most importantly, I'm very excited to be back on the air with our listeners and letting them know that we got an exciting 2020. And, truthfully, that's what I want to address. I want to get right into it in terms of the fact that New Year's seems to be when everybody decides that they're going to turn over a new leaf, that they have all these resolutions. As you know, I started our resolutions like 3 months ago. I said, Pat, we're going in this new direction. We've been working on it ever since. We're very excited about where 2020 is going to take us. But before we do, I want to address for our listeners an issue with our email and comments, and in general, we've been getting a lot of feedback in terms of both things that we read on air for people, as well as some of the comments that have been shared on Podbean and some of our other forums.
Yeah, Stitcher, most notably. So our listeners are everything. Like, it's not a part of the show. It's the show.
Yeah.
It's our priority.
That's why we do this for you guys.
And our listeners' anonymity is very important to us. So we actually read every single email we get. Now, to be honest, almost every review is positive. Emails are great. But we read it not to humble brag or to be made to feel good. We read it for criticisms as well. We want to improve. And the feedback is very helpful. But one thing I want to stress is anonymity. So the emails are real, but we do change the names to protect our listeners.
Right.
We're being transparent with that. But I just want to say that if you're listening and you hear your name, it doesn't necessarily mean we're reading your email. And what I mean by that is, obviously, if it's word for word, it's yours. What's the chances of that? We get hundreds of emails.
Right.
There's nothing new under the sun. Your situation might be unique in your life. It might be your first time dealing with the situation. But believe me, as bizarre as it may seem, there are other people going through the same thing. So
and they might be going through the same thing at the same time you are, which is even more...
Right, and they might be going through the same thing at the same time, and there's 6 degrees of separation. They might live 10 miles from you.
Right.
And we're not going to divulge that type of information, but I just want you to know that if your name is John, and you send us an email, and it's a very personal and private thing, and we grab somebody else's email, their name is Mike, but we call them John to protect Mike's identity. You might think we're putting you on blast when that's not at all what we're doing, and what we would like is for you to realize there's strength in numbers and there's support in numbers. So we want you to feel good that there are others going through what you're going through, and someone else, we get emails about resolutions, and actual solutions to problems that customers have, that listeners have, and they might be able to help you. You should feel good knowing you're not alone.
I want to point out that the reason why we started this show was because Pat and I have had so much experience with women, especially, telling us, crying on our shoulder, or just feeling that they can share with us, the things that they've been through. And it was out of that wealth of experience that both of us had in terms of being a good friend to the opposite sex, that we thought it would be fun to create this type of forum. What has happened over the last year is obviously we have engaged both male and female listeners, and when we read your emails, understand that our choice to read your email is not only because of you, but because we think it's valid for other people who want to hear what you're going through, because they might be going through the same thing.
And to be honest, it's a difficult choice.
That's right.
I mean, like, Jay and I don't argue much, but we have real debates about the airtime and who's going to get it, because everybody's worthy.
We argue about some things, but we don't argue on air a lot.
That's actually what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. But our goal with this show, and our goal for you, is to be as helpful as we can be in terms of bringing things to the surface that may be controversial, that may make you question us, but at the same time, it's called Fun and Truth in Black and White for a reason. We're here both to educate and to entertain. And so we love your hate mail as much as we love your,
and to be honest, not everybody wants to pay a shrink. Not everybody wants to sit on a couch. So we feel a certain responsibility. And that responsibility is to have some fun, spread some truth. So let's get started.
I was about to say, let's get right
with
to the fun
New
and truth.
Year's resolution hype. It's not just resolutions. It's the resolution hype. And let's set the stage, Jay.
Yeah, I was about to say, tell me, what is the resolution
So first
hype?
of all, let's just get rid of the most common one.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm going to lose 35 pounds. Right? Now, most of the people that go to the gym regularly don't go to the gym from like January 1st through like Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Because they want to avoid you people.
Yeah.
They want to avoid the crowd.
That's right.
And not the serious crowd, but the crowd that isn't really serious about working out and exercise. They throw it out there because it's the hype.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And you know the type. They go out, they have the matching outfits, sneakers, sweats, headband. They spend more time socializing at the gym than actually working out.
Right.
It's a whole thing. Though. Oh, yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about, but that's an example of the hype. Today, though, we're going to talk about resolutions. And it can turn from hype to reality.
Yeah. I want to point out one thing, only because I actually lived this for last year and you watched me go through this, but at the beginning in January, my goal was to get to below 180 pounds. At the time, I was 190. So I want people to understand, and Pat can testify, I work out very, very consistently. I'm a very healthy person. It took me 12 months to lose 11 pounds. Now, I don't eat or drink excessively at all anymore. I'm, in my mid-40s. I'm very careful about what I put in my body. So understand that even with regular diet and exercise, losing weight is a challenge. You go ahead and you lose 35 pounds in a year, I guarantee you it will come back that easily. But if you are learning how to lose weight in a very careful, healthy way, in which you have established your diet and your workout regimen and you're just slowly tweaking it, that weight will not come back very easily, because the truth is it's a part of your natural way of life.
Quick shot on that. I think I know it's more important to have a healthy lifestyle than to have a target figure for the scale.
You got it.
All right. And we'll deal with that another time. Emails. Email number 1.
All right. Shout out to Mr. Herbert.
Yeah, let me read this one.
Yeah.
Mr. Herbert, my New Year's resolution is to try an open relationship with my wife.
Okay.
But she said me first. Am I crazy for actually considering giving her the okay to sleep with another man?
You know, I gotta tell you, Herbert, that
You look stressed for Herbert.
it's not stress, but it is reflection, because the answer is yes. He should absolutely have a conversation with her about it.
But he's asking, is he crazy for considering it?
No, he's not crazy. I don't think he's crazy for considering it, but I think that what he has to do is have a very open conversation with his wife about the feelings that it makes him have. Because I'm sure that, if he's honest with her about how it makes him feel, that's exactly why she put it out there. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, let's say that it is something where she really does want to go first. And, it could be for any number of reasons that we didn't think of. Okay? So obviously our immediate things are that she's doing it out of spite. She's doing it out of, trying to get a reaction out of him that he'll immediately drop it. But what if it is that their marriage is stale, and for her, she's basically saying, okay, you want to do an open relationship? You know what? I've been wanting this for a long time.
What if she actually has?
Yeah.
Like, what if she is like, this is too good to be true. This is just what I wanted, and he's bringing it up.
Yeah.
But to make sure he's serious, I got to go first.
Right.
So I don't think he's crazy, because everyone has a different threshold of what they can take.
Yeah. Before you continue, I want to point out is I think the reason why he asked if he's crazy is because from a man's point of view,
correct,
both being prideful, ego, and also that sense of control, to be willing to give that up for someone that you love, as a man, that is incredibly humbling.
Here's the thing. So, first off, if you don't, quote unquote, give the okay, you already know she wanted to do it.
That's right.
So that cat's out the bag.
Yeah.
Which means she might go do it anyway.
That's true.
Number two, ask yourself how badly you want to sleep with other women. If you want it that badly, and this is the prerequisite that she's laid out, then you have to let her do it.
Yeah.
You cannot be unfair in that way. The worst answer is, no, you can't do it, but I can. That's not going to work.
Right.
All right? And I think there's still some control here, because if she went out and slept with other men on her own, then there's the risk of like her having another relationship.
Right.
But you might feel, Herbert, that you have more control if it's designated that it's just a sexual relationship between her and the other man.
Right.
And maybe to the point where you know when it happens, or how often it happens, or maybe you can make it a one-time thing. What kind of parameters you can set? So
if you're in the room.
Right. Or if you're there to observe, she might ask you to record it.
Right.
Who knows? In my estimation, you are not crazy for considering giving her the okay, because anything that occurs between two adults that is consensual can't be crazy.
Right. Right. Not only that, but I think that, again, depending on the length, we don't know, how long they've been together and the length of their relationship beyond their marriage. The reality is that the privilege of being in a relationship with someone as an adult is that you both evolve. You don't have the same opinions or feelings of each other 6 years later that you did when you first met. You don't even have it 6 months later. You're constantly changing and evolving based on what you learn about each other, what you experience with each other, what you experience with others and bring back to each other, what you experience with each other and take to others and then come back with more information. There's a constant flow of information going between you and your partner in the outside world that is changing you on a daily basis as you learn new things both from other people as well as your partner. And also, I think the other thing behind this is that oftentimes we only think of the possibility of an open relationship when things aren't working. But what if things are working so well that you decide that, hey, let's try an open relationship because we're doing so well with everything else. Why not see where this leads? You know, I think too often we get stuck in, if it's working right now, don't mess with it. And if it's not working right now, don't try anything really taboo or controversial, because that's just going to make it worse. So, yeah, I don't think that you're crazy, Herbert. I think that you need to have not just one conversation, but several conversations with your wife about what it is that, you know, each of you really want beyond just the open relationship, but then how does the open relationship benefit each of you individually as well as, you know, together. So,
all right, guys, we're going to take a quick break and come back with our next email.
All right. All right, we're back. This is Fun and Truth in Black and White with Pat and Jay. Pat, our next email is from Janice. And she says, my New Year's resolution is to get my boyfriend to use handcuffs on me during sex.
Just bring him out. Put him on the table, put him under the pillow, put him on the bed. Just bring them out. I think spontaneity is a beautiful thing. And I think that's an easy resolution to swing your bat for, to shoot your shot for. Because where you might run into problems is pulling them out, trying to handcuff him.
Yep.
Because not, just in general, a person has to be ready to be submissive. And that something has to happen in between his ears. He may not be ready for that.
Yeah.
But I think if you want him to use handcuffs on you, bring them out. Or another way is, because he might say, what are these for? Or something stupid and kill your mood. So maybe start out, you haven't asked this question, Janice, but maybe if you're wondering, how do I get him to do it for my resolution? Maybe you introduce it through role play first. Just if you want like a bridge into it instead of just having the handcuffs out.
You took where I was going to go with that, but yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is that you have a great opportunity to open this up. First of all, let me just back up and say that I think the issue with Janice's email, and Janice, this is no criticism to you. It's just the way in which it's framed is that she wants to get her boyfriend to be more kinky with her, and she's using handcuffs as something that might be a turn on that she's always wanted, and it's a great opportunity to have him dress up as a police officer, or do something really, really silly. But the bigger thing here is obviously that Janice has some things that she wants to explore with her boyfriend, and she's not sure how to bring it to him. So
it's funny. My brain immediately read between the lines.
Right.
And I try to take the emails at face value.
Yeah.
But it's Fun and Truth. Let's have some fun with it.
Exactly.
So we already answered the question as is.
Right.
But when I read it, in between the lines, I'm thinking that he's overly passive and sweet.
Yeah.
In bed.
Yeah.
Or
he only knows how to do it one way.
Correct. And I think for her to make this her resolution, it implies, because typically a New Year's resolution isn't something that you do easily or that you're already doing.
That's exactly right.
So it implies that there's some kind of hurdle there that she feels she has to get over.
Yep.
So again, not saying Janice per se, but for anyone else who has this same question or a similar question, this makes me think that during doggy style, she wants to get her ass slapped really hard, or hair pulled, and she's with the guy who's being very gentle with it.
Yeah.
And she wants him to be more aggressive.
Right.
You know, I feel like somebody who sends an email like this may be concerned, you know what, this dude is going to say to me, but it might hurt your wrists and kill my mood.
Right.
Or some dude might be preachy and be like, but you're not a criminal. Why would I handcuff you? Or say something like,
why would I do that?
Or say something like, you know, let me tell you an issue I had with the police one time when they stopped me.
Right.
This brings back bad memories. And she's sitting there getting dried up.
Right.
Because this cat is being overly moral with his, you know. So I think for this to be somebody's resolution,
you're
dealing with somebody that doesn't want to grab you by the throat. And because look, what we're getting into here is sex, making love, and fucking. And if your intimacy doesn't include all three, it's lacking something.
I agree. I would say that you know, again, you read exactly where I was going with this, is that there's a bigger issue that Janice has with her boyfriend that has to do with the lack of parity in their sexual relationship, and she's looking for a way to get him to understand that she needs him to be more aggressive and let loose in the bedroom a little bit more. So, all right. So, Pat, let's get back to New Year's resolutions and resolution hype. Excuse me. You know, 2020 is going to be a big year for a lot of people, or at least we're putting it on the table that way. And, you know, from the standpoint of where most relationships are right now, you know, in terms of people's minds, there's a lot out there with, you know, online dating and, you know, different forums that you can go to, the way in which you can meet people, the way in which you get into relationships. But we've talked about it a lot on this platform about the failure of communication being so prominent in relationships these days. So, you know, from a resolution hype standpoint, when people are talking about, you know, how they're going to improve and change and get better, you know, how do you see it compared to the reality of, you know, these communication platforms and people having it so easy and not having to work for it?
So, I'm glad you asked that question, because the title in itself, the word hype, implies something fictitious.
Right.
You know, very rarely do things meet the hype anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you've waited for an album to drop, a movie to come out, and more often than not, like to the point where when something matches its hype, you're almost shocked.
Yeah. That's
so
exactly right.
The word hype in itself implies a letdown.
Yeah.
Okay? So I think the first thing is, when you make resolutions or set goals, is what's the root of the resolution?
Yeah.
Like, are you making the resolution because it sounds good for your IG feed, right?
Right.
Or are you making a resolution that is unattainable? Mm-hmm. Or are you doing the opposite? Are you setting the bar so low, such a simple resolution, so you want to be able to check it off and say you did it? Or you're taking the easy way out? Now, you talked about these platforms. So the thing about, like, the internet is it's the greatest invention ever, right? The ease of access to information, okay? And how easily you can distribute information. But it has created so many fake personas.
Right.
So, I mean, how many times do you get up in the morning and you get alerts or you look at someone's feed and it's some blanket statement about relationships. They're trying to really say something to their man or girlfriend, but instead of saying it to that person directly, they're like, let me broadcast this to the world and maybe it'll get back to them. Or let's say, it could be something like, your mate made a comment and made you feel insecure about your weight.
Right.
So what you're going to do is, go online, Facebook, wherever and post 10 pictures of beautiful, heavy people. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you, brother. Health. So I just think maybe people can use those platforms to make them feel better about their resolutions.
Yeah.
Or to support their resolutions. But Jay, there's these moments of truth.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you're in the shower,
Mm-hmm.
when you're sitting on the toilet,
Yeah.
sometimes when you're driving in your car, like there's these moments where it's just you, yourself, and your brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like you're not on stage, not on Instagram, not TikTok, nothing, right? You're just alone.
Yeah.
And in those moments, how you see yourself, that's the real you.
Right.
Right? So at some point, you got to face reality. Like you're going to think about the coat you wore on your Instagram pic that really wasn't yours, and you borrowed it from somebody to look a certain way to impress someone that doesn't really matter.
Right.
Or you'll think about the stupid speech you gave at your holiday party in front of all these people and said things you didn't mean. So like I just think, to answer your question, somewhere in there is the real you.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to find that person.
Yeah.
And from there, I think all the other answers sprout from that. But I think a lot of people are walking around with different versions of themselves.
Right.
That they're giving off to the world.
Yeah.
And, I think you can even get to the point where you don't even know which one is really you.
I think you bring up a great point, and I think that's what the real challenge is, and going straight to our listeners, thinking about the resolution hype and the fact that what are you really making a resolution for? Let's go back to the original idea of, just losing weight. You're losing 35 pounds. Why? Is it because you're really significantly overweight? Or is it because of some insecurity you have, in yourself when you look in the mirror and you feel judged by other people? So we have to realize that at the core of everything we do, we have to find happiness. And, this particular forum is to talk about love and sex and, think about it from the standpoint of why do we get with other people for intimacy? Why do we get into relationships? Obviously, if we do everything a certain way, we wind up married with kids, and the core foundation of that has to be a sense of love for each other. But there's a selfish need before there's an unselfish need. And at the core of why we get into relationships, at the core of why we decide to share ourselves with somebody else, it's because we need something. And so when we go about all these resolutions, and the hype behind them, it's oftentimes because we're not happy with something about ourselves because we're not getting what we need. And oftentimes it has nothing to do with what the resolution is about as much as it has to do with the fact that we just don't know how to communicate to people what we need from them.
There's a word you said that I want to really focus on. You mentioned the word insecurities.
Yeah.
And what stands out to me is sometimes insecurities are placed onto you. Like, you talked about knowing the real reason why you're setting a resolution. For example, you might love what you do for a living. You're happy. Somebody who you want to be with doesn't like or respect what you do for a living. So you might have a resolution to change professions. That's a poor reason, in my opinion. Now, if that person came to you and said, you're better than this, I think you can do better. Here's why. If you're, first, are you happy there? Maybe they want to know if you're happy or not, and they make a suggestion. They notice you have this other skill to offer the world. That's different. But if the person is berating you, you're doing that? What are you doing that for? What kind of person would be happy doing that and that kind of thing? And if you want to change professions to make that person happy, you want to change professions so that they look at you and they like what you're doing.
Right.
That's a horrible reason to do it. And that's a horrible person to change for.
Right.
You might like your build. Because when we say lose 35 pounds, believe me, there's a person walking around that's 112 pounds that wants to lose 35 pounds.
Yeah.
For some reason. So we're not implying that people are obese or unhealthy, but it's more about, forget the number. It's about not liking what you see in the mirror.
Right.
But let's say you like how you look.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there's this person that doesn't. They make a subtle or not so subtle comment to you. So you declare this resolution. Imagine declaring a resolution about something that you didn't think you had a problem. You didn't even have a problem with it.
Right.
But this person planted that there. Understand, that person is planting an insecurity on you
That's really about
to benefit
yourself.
them.
Yeah.
So if your resolution is spawned by these types of things, run the other way. They should be for pure, genuine reasons. Now, it doesn't have to be all about you. You can have a resolution to be a better father.
Right.
You can have a resolution to be a better friend or a better sibling.
Right.
That's cool. But don't let someone make you feel inadequate, and from that you form your resolution, because that's nothing but resolution hype.
Right.
And it's a hype bubble that will burst.
All right, we're gonna take a break. We'll be back. This is Fun and Truth in Black and White with Pat and Jay. All right, we're back. This is Fun and Truth in Black and White with Pat and Jay.
Jay, how we looking with time?
Pat, we are doing great on time, and I think we can get into some more emails. This is a really juicy one from Christine, and for our listeners out there, I'm going to warn you in advance. If you are at all prudish or afraid of,
Due to the graphic nature of the email we're about to read, to either turn up the volume
or shut
or
us
turn it
off.
off right now.
All right, so Pat, Christine says, my boyfriend used to date my sister, and she raved about having anal sex with him. We have never had anal sex, even when I asked for it. Why her and not me?
Before I answer that,
Okay.
can I just say that we should do a podcast on what I'm about to mention, but I just want to mention it to you. One thing that I don't think women really understand is how much sex men get through referral.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is many women speak a lot.
Yeah.
And when you speak and you advertise
Yeah.
our prowess
Yeah.
in the bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
it makes your girlfriends, friends, coworkers curious about us.
Yeah.
So many men will tell you that behind your back or after breaking up with you, girls you hang out with
Right.
are now sleeping with them.
Right.
And aside from the fact that women can be competitive, it's often about the fact that you, the girlfriend, did the legwork and advertised for them.
Yeah. When you're done with this whole thing, I'm going to give you a flip side of that. That's really important, though.
All right, so
Go ahead.
definitely. I just want to get that out there. Now, Christine, first off, let me say there's nothing wrong with you. And I have to say that because I'm about to get into some sensitive subjects.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, when a person looks at another person, there's certain sexual acts that immediately come to mind. Like a man might look at a woman's lips and immediately think that he wants oral sex from her. Similarly, a man might look at a woman's build and want to do certain positions with her. Maybe want to do anal sex with her. I've not seen Christine. It's possible. I haven't seen her sister. It's possible based on her boyfriend's taste, her anatomy, like physically, he's not interested in sleeping with her and having anal sex with her in that way. And again, not to offend anybody, hygiene might be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you never know what is turning someone on or off.
Yeah.
That makes him not want to have anal sex with her. Thirdly, and what I think it actually might be, and I completely disagree with this way of thinking, but there are some men, some people who view certain acts as dirty. If he dated your sister and didn't take her seriously, he might have been more comfortable having anal sex with her. If in his mind, anal sex is what dirty girls do.
Right.
Again, I think that's nonsense.
Yeah.
But Jay, we've had emails from people that say, you know, I've given oral sex to dozens of guys. I won't do it to my husband.
Right.
I don't want him thinking I'm dirty.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so it's crazy.
Yeah.
But people do think like that. So it's possible that he holds Christine in such high regard.
That he doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to have anal sex with her
Yeah.
because in his mind, it's dirty.
Yeah.
And that would make her a dirty girl. Maybe he viewed your sister as a dirty girl, a finale girl. I'm not going to marry her, whatever. Anyway,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on some of the things I said?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. But I want to go back to the sexual prowess referrals, and I want our listeners to understand that, you know, the marvel of women and the challenge of being a man is the fact that whether you're great in bed or horrible in bed, the fact is that women often will never let you know. You will only find out through referral, and sometimes it's not about whether or not you are actually great in bed. It's another woman is suspicious enough to want to find out. So just as many women that are talking about you being great in bed, whether or not that's true or not, they might be talking about you because they want to brag about you, to have something to say even if you suck in bed. The truth is that oftentimes, if you're good in bed, your woman isn't saying shit to any other woman. And they feed off that because they're like, oh, she's not saying anything.
And then they think it must be something about him.
That's right.
I wonder. And I've some women go as far as to say the opposite. Oh, he's all right.
Yeah.
He's because they want to like really put out.
They want to deflect.
Right, deflect. But
Yeah.
you know what? Let's get back to Christine.
Yeah, so no. I brought that up to get to Christine to get her to understand that, what is she really asking in this question? She's basically saying that, she doesn't feel like she's worthy because of the way that, if her sister got it and, she's trying to initiate it and not getting it, obviously she doesn't feel that, she's on a pedestal, even though, you think that he might put her on a pedestal. And I think that it's really about the fact that it's not the anal sex that's the issue. It's the relationship in general between her and her boyfriend. There's something else that's going on. And maybe the reason why they're not having anal sex is because whether or not he has greater feelings for her, whether or not, he, feels a certain way for her, that's different from her sister, there's something he's not getting or feeling in the relationship that he wants to be able to unleash himself.
But what I'm curious to know,
Yeah.
because we're not having an exchange with
Yeah.
Christine, but I'm curious to know, is the issue anal sex? Or is the issue that, fill in the blank, she feels she should get whatever she's asking for?
Well, that's
Sexually.
and then here's the other thing about it is that again, he dated her sister, dude. So again, she's in a competition with her sister over whatever her sister bragged about, because that's the other thing that's coming through here is the fact that she's saying, "All right, he slept with her. She's my sister, and she said that he was incredible in terms of anal sex. So I got to get it too." Why? Is
But
that what you really want?
maybe-
or is it that you want to be able to
Well, a couple things.
brag to your sister about
Anal sex might just be her thing.
Right.
It might be a fantasy.
Yeah.
The sister, who knows what the gap is between him dating both of them. She might have came to her talking about the guy I'm dating, not knowing that a year or whatever later he'll be dating her sister.
Right.
So we don't know like the backstory, but without knowing that, it's kind of hard to piece it together. But I guess we can boil it down. So there's a lot of ifs, but I think we can boil one thing down that we know for a fact. At some point, she has asked for anal sex, and
Right.
she was told no.
Yeah.
And he can't spin it like, "Oh, I don't do that."
Right. He can't deflect that one in
Right.
terms of
Because he's
not
asked
interested.
out.
Yeah.
Pun intended. But so why her, not me? And the thing about it, she's probably in a situation where she doesn't. I would think it'd be uncomfortable for her to say, "But you did it with my sister,"
Right.
because now he can get back and be like, "You know what? That's not fair. I don't like you talking about me." Like, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I don't know where to go from here because she has some pride. She doesn't want to beg for anal sex,
Right.
right?
Well, maybe
from her,
she does.
but from her boyfriend,
Yeah.
and
Maybe she needs some handcuffs.
yeah, I mean, it would be worse. What if they ended up like Herbert and ended up having an open relationship?
Right.
And what if he ended up having sex with the other girl, anal sex, and not with Christine?
Wow, that would really be
Honestly, that might be a deal breaker for the
Yeah,
relationship.
that's exactly right. That might.
You know what? We haven't really given her, because she's asking a specific question. Why her, not me? What are we gonna say, Jay?
You know,
I don't like to not answer questions.
Yeah, I think that again, I went back to the fact that it's competition, but for Christine, I think that you need to bring this to your boyfriend. You need to confront him about it, because if it's something that you really want, then you should be able to say, "Hey,
Okay,
listen."
but you know what?
Yeah.
When she brings it up, don't bring up your sister.
Right.
Just say, Ricardo, whatever,
Eugene.
Jason. Let me stop. But she should just be like, "You know what? I want to know why. Like, you said no. I just want to know why.
Yeah.
Can we discuss this?"
Right.
Now, if you're going to ask that question, brace yourself for what the answer might be.
Yeah, and I think what I was trying to say is that she needs to bring it to him in a way that it addresses the bigger picture, that it's not just about anal sex. So I don't necessarily
Problem with that, though, Jay.
Yeah.
Problem with that is, what if he says to her, "You know what? Ask for anything else, but I'm not doing that with you."
Well, but that's again, it's something where you have to ask the question and face the consequences.
Correct. That's why I say brace
know,
yourself for
yeah,
the answer. Right.
Yeah, but I think that it's the bigger question of like, what is it that Christine really wants? She's saying, why her and not me? Is it about the anal sex, or is it about having fulfillment in the relationship?
Jay, it might be both.
Yeah.
Because let's say she's really into anal sex.
Yeah.
Or never had it and really wants to try it with him.
Right.
Or it might have been something that she put in a secret place and she's like, "I'm going to save that for the guy I want to marry."
Right.
Maybe she views this guy that way.
So now you just got to the bigger issue. You just hit the
But
nail
let me
on the
tell you,
head. Yeah.
let me tell you, for all we know, she'd have been fine with him saying no.
Right.
On some, well, he doesn't want to do that, fine.
Right.
But the fact that she knows he was into it with someone else,
Who happened to be her sister.
I think that's because if somebody
Yeah.
says no, they say no,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Because I think, my honest opinion is that if Christine approaches him the right way, which is to say, "Hey, listen, I want to bring up the bedroom and what we both want. And, I asked you, I tried to initiate anal sex because it's something I'm interested in with you. And I want to know, is this something that you're okay with because you turned me down or whatever? And, is there something I'm missing? Because is it, an issue with me? Am I not, satisfying you? And this is just even more so.
He might say something crazy like, you know what? I don't think your pain threshold, your pain tolerance isn't even where it needs to be. I don't think you relax enough.
Right.
So I think it'll be difficult for us. Like, who knows? Who knows?
Right.
But, I think we've answered the question in that why her, not me, is not the real question, but the way to get to the core of what you're asking is to have a conversation with him. Because it sounds like you're introducing this option in the moment of sex.
Right.
And maybe that's the wrong time.
Yeah.
Have a discussion with him.
Yeah. I'm going to give Christine a suggestion, which, I'm going to go out there, Pat, I'm going to tell her, if you want to throw him off and, initiate the conversation in an interesting way, use a butt plug. And see how he reacts. Put it in, go doggy style, and when he looks at it, say, hey, it's there for you.
Best thing about the emails is the follow-up emails.
That's right.
So if we pick your email and we
Pat is saying is he can't wait to see what everybody responds to.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Pat, this has been an awesome episode so far, and I want to let all our listeners know that, especially during the holidays, I don't give a fuck about your driving record, because traffic during the holidays is some next planet shit that we've got to stop. And here's what I mean. You could be the best driver in the world on any given day. But during the holidays, it seems like everybody loses their fucking mind. And people are changing lanes. I mean, the number of accidents that I've seen, over the last week, it's just incomprehensible how people can drive normal and then suddenly forget what the fuck a steering wheel is for and signals and indicators. So, in the bigger picture of life, I think people need to understand that, however you see yourself in terms of your overall ability to be good at any one thing or a number of things, and you think you're better than 95% of the people out there when it comes to driving. The reality is the other people on the road don't know you. And every day, whether you like it or not, you have to be consistent with what it is that you do. And if suddenly during the holidays you decide that, because of the urgency of something, or because you forgot something, or whatever it is, that suddenly everything doesn't matter except you have to get to where you need to be, think about how that is for every other person on the road. And we're talking about the fact that, we're complaining about everybody else driving, but we ourselves, have the same issues simply because we're out on the road during the holidays. Probably we don't need to be. So, my point for everybody going into the new year, because I'll get to my real resolution, but my point for everybody going into the new year, if I have a resolution for everybody out there who drives, try to be a little more consistent on a daily basis in terms of being responsible, respectful, and real.
Yeah, safety first, and from there you'll be all right. My PSA: stop doing what's not working. You know, what do they say? They say the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So I think one of the best resolutions to have, and no hype, one of the best legit resolutions to have is to not do something. People are still focused on what to do different, what new action to take, but maybe you can stop doing an action that's been of detriment to you. That requires some self-analysis, but there are some things that you're doing regularly, routinely, that are not contributing to your life in any positive way. And in fact, they may be detracting from your life in a very negative way. And in some cases, it's not very obvious. Like in some cases, what you're doing could directly be affecting your mental health or your physical health. Or what you're doing can directly be of detriment to your financial well-being. But something as simple as your time. There might be something that isn't taking any of your money and isn't affecting your health, but it is draining your time and you're not getting any positive return on that. So it's key because time is the most precious resource, right? Like you can't, like 5 minutes ago is gone forever. $50, you can lose it, you can make back $500. So I just say, as you're looking at making changes, which you can do at any time of year, but since we're approaching the first of the year, if you're looking at making changes, maybe instead of adding something new, remove something old. That being said, we have some resolutions for the show.
That's right.
Jay, I'll let you go first.
So, Pat, my New Year's resolution for Fun and Truth in Black and White is to bring even more energy to every episode going forward. And, for our listeners, I want you to know that Pat and I talk throughout the week, every week on a daily basis. We're hyping each other up. We're getting excited. We're talking about emails. We're talking about the fact that we're getting a growing following of listeners, and the feedback is motivating us to be even more thoughtful and controversial. But I'm really talking about the fact that we're going to start doing some really crazy shit in 2020 for our audience, just to keep them not only entertained, and try to educate them, but also motivate you guys to go out there and get out of your comfort zone and do some things that really bring you to a greater place of happiness and success. So that's my New Year's resolution.
Yeah, and it's actually our.
That's right.
Because, it's what I want. It's what Jay wants, but it's what you want. Like, one of the emails that we haven't shared, not one, but in this last batch, is something that's been repeated. And people have been asking for us to discuss some of the more risque emails.
Yeah.
And some of the more aggressive content. And, we've been at this about a year now, and I wouldn't say we've played it safe, but again, it's a lot of feedback. So picking what to read is not always easy, but we're actually going to add a little more emphasis into picking things that are a little bit more unique.
Yeah.
And bringing it to you. And I think we started with that tonight. Also, additional perspective, particularly from women.
Yep.
That's a little bit of a hint or prelude to what's going to happen in the new year. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave you guys with a little bit of a cliffhanger. To all our listeners, followers, emailers, subscribers, those that hate us, love us, it's all support. Wish you a happy new year, happy 2020. Wishing you a lot of fun, even more truth, and hopefully we'll be part of that.
That's right. Health, wealth, and happiness. Have a happy 2020 to everyone out there. We love you, and we'll see you on the next go around.
As always,
Peace
peace
and
and
love.
love.